The Radio Misfits Podcast Network.
Do you finally feel like you found where you're meant to be? So you have that purpose, you have that fulfillment, and you can find success in this and stay with it and build on it.
Yeah. I am approaching it. Okay. I recognize that it is a vector and it will go on forever and I will never quite attain it, which is awesome. And that's only been since I felt the pull to start the coaching. Because I thought, okay, and so I started the marketing business, and then in the summertime, about 6 months in, I'm like, I got to be doing more. What if I get my executive coaching certification? So I went through these few programs online and got certified in executive coaching and leadership development and neurolinguistic practitioner or neurolinguistic programming practitioner, and loved it. And I had free access to developing coaches, mentor coaches. And I was like, oh shit, I've got to do this. And my first thought was like, hey, I'm going to mentor marketing people and do this and just try and throw myself back in the lane.
Do you feel like you were following maybe the money at that point again? Like you felt like you had to show up as that provider because you were talking about those values.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I still
I'm seeing a pattern.
I still needed to solve that. I still needed to solve for that. Because Melissa had already begun to transform into a different self-actualization from being provider, being the professional, to being the mother, the nurturer. And now she does postpartum care. Now she's intertwined her yoga, her nutrition, her physical therapy. She's also began doing cranial sacral. Like she's been able to learn from me and find her interests. No, she's been able to pursue that. And that's the space that I want to create.
Shout out to Melissa.
Yes. Baby. And I wanted to keep that space, but I also had to still continue to provide, which I honored and respected and knew that is part of my identity is wanting to do so. But also I think I recognized that the decision to go market towards marketers was the easy way. Yeah. Because it was like, hell, I already know the problems. I already know this. And I'm already a marketing authority. I've already got, that's exactly it. And like, why not just pull over a few of my previous guys? But an interesting thing about the money aspect too was like, I don't know if people will be able to commit unless it's a certain amount of money. And then I'm like, okay, where's the real impact? Helping new marketing execs take on new responsibilities. I'm like, hell, I barely did that. And then I started to realize, like, what is it really that I'm working on? Right. That I can kind of give, right?
That calling's a little bit bigger.
Exactly. And really, I'm such a huge fan of Joseph Campbell's Hero of a Million Faces. I think I may butchered that, but it's the hero's journey that we talk about all the time. We talk about stories and the impact of stories. And that hero's journey, to paraphrase it, is that here's life as it is. You heed the call. You hear the call to action. You deny it, and then something else happens and more impactful. And then you go. And then you go to the cave. You fight the biggest demon that you can, and you grab the gold. But the fucking part about it that everybody kind of forgets is that you bring it back and you share it. Right. The end of Star Wars. They come back. And they receive the accolades and the freedom from defeating the Empire for the first time. That's it. That's Frodo with the ring. It's these archetypes exist because these are embedded in these stories, things that we understand for many fucking years. Yeah. From Pinocchio and Beauty and the Beast to all these things. And so I recognize I have come to a place where I have obviously my relationship improved with Lillian, which now we are two peas in a pod and so deeply connected. But I wanted to bring this back and into in what I knew would like freely flow from my spirit was, hey, I know it's tough, but here's how I can kind of help. Here's the message I want to bring you is that, first, balance. If you've ever stood on one leg, it's not because you're standing in a straight line that you're balanced. Is that balance is merely the act of counterbalancing, right? So if you're aware enough of how far you're leaning to the left, then you better be able to, with control, move to the right enough. So that for some of us, that means that you can be so invested in your family that when the time comes that you have to go on a 30-hour business trip, you can do it because you have to throw yourself back into work.
Right.
And that definition is based off of the alignment that you bring with with your values. And that's where I started developing some of the programs. I started working with a couple of friends.
You brought me on to help you get organized.
Yes, I absolutely did.
I forced you. I was like, you're going to sit down. You're going to figure this out.
Yeah. And
we got it done.
With your support, it continues to be, it continues to allow me to do, to provide on one hand and to give on the other hand. And so you've kind of two different things.
I just see like the impact that you have. So y'all know, I mean, Bryant is part of my friend family, and I have seen the impact that he has had with the other dads, even my own husband, through this journey. And so I know that through Jim becoming a new dad and me becoming a new mom and trying to figure out what the hell is this life like, and then also, trying to figure out how to run a business and go out on my own and all the things that transformation that's been. I was like, people need to hear your story. People need to have the perspective of just like figuring out what those values are and starting from there. Because even whenever Jim and I always say that, everyone's like, Jim and I had Max, and we started, and it was COVID, and we were like figuring all the shit out. And then we were trying to like reparent ourselves because all that stuff was coming up.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, we're seeing a therapist, we're doing our own work, and maybe I'm just biased because I'm a woman and I'm not all in, but it's like having a man there that can be vulnerable, that can, because, all of the couples therapy is about being vulnerable. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. I got to be right all the time, blah, blah, blah. And so seeing you work and just have conversations with the other dads, like everyone is just so relaxed and you're talking about real things and then, giving real dad advice. And I pride myself on, I run the moms club at school, and then we have a great little moms group, and we talk about the shit. We talk about the hard stuff. We talk about our feelings, and it's like men need to do that too, because I feel like society is like, you've got to be this big masculine guy and you've got to do this. And we've broken that apart. Even in sessions with clients too, it's like, it's all on the mom to figure it out, and the man's not really there, can't take the direction. And it's like, well, it doesn't have to be like this because I know this guy and he can actually show up for his people. Right. And so when you decided to start Tharros and really go after it, I was just so excited for you to be able to share your story, which is so impactful for so many reasons. But then also there's like, there's a architecture there of actually helping men understand their identity, how to be vulnerable, how to show up, how to talk to themselves. That's one of the things that I love about you as a client and a friend and a boss, is that we can have real conversation. And I know that you're asking, how do I feel about that? Instead of just like seeing what everyone else is like, okay, what really works for me? And I feel like we need to do that more as a society, is take a pause and ask ourselves, how do I actually feel about that? How is that going to benefit me? Or how is that going to affect my family? Because I feel like a lot, we don't do that. We don't take the time. And that you've gone through this journey and you've had all of these ups and downs and all of these peaks and valleys, and been able to really identify, like stop and identify what's important to you. And yes, it ebbs and flows. Sure. But like now you're in this place where, we've got this Metamorphic marketing day job that's paying the bills, that's being impactful, making an impact with clients. And we love all of our clients. And we fired a client not too long ago because Bryant wasn't having it anymore. It was texting at the dinner table. It was like, this is not who I want to be. And you were not afraid to walk away from it.
I've with that experience, I won't go too far into that experience. What it ultimately came down to with that was I doing the work that I said I was going to?
Exactly.
And that was important because, going back to the choice, understanding the locus of control in your life is the most important thing you can do to make your life better. And I'll say that again in a different way. Knowing the difference of what you control and what you do not is paramount, because you'll find how very little you actually control.
Yes.
Right? And that's from politics to your favorite, sports team, to how you interact with your wife and your partner. It's like you can't, because the same feeling that you have when your wife tells you something that sounds like your mom, like, you can't control me. That's your inner teenager going like, I'll show you how bad I can do the dishes and load the dishwasher. You're going to fucking hate me because I'm going to fucking just stack them everywhere. But you can't control that person.
Right.
And what you can control even in yourself. Like I was last year when I was going through some of the Stoic exercises and really getting into my deep daily philosophical journey, I was feeling really good about myself. And then I had this wild ass ear infection, and it took me a month to get over it. I lost a lot of hearing in my right ear, which, having a deaf daughter, I was like, well, I'm fine. I know sign language. Like I'll be with her. And it's mostly recovered, but it's still there. And it's interesting that it's still there. But I realized I don't even control my health, right? But I could control my mindset.
Yes.
I could control the choices, that's the Stoics say, is your reason to choice.
Yes.
And because of that, going back to the experience with that client, was I need to find the moment in which I made a choice. I need to find where I'm responsible, and then understand that the next time I'm going to make the right choice.
Right.
It wouldn't matter if they were great, if they were bad. It would not matter at all if I felt like I made the wrong choice, or if I said something that I was going to do something and then I wasn't doing it. That was the moral of that story.
Yeah, it's basically having those clear expectations of what was said between two parties, and then setting those boundaries, and then making sure that there's clarity between the communication and all that. So, yeah, and I love how I'm kind of pivoting just a slight bit, but I love how, like, even your wife kind of identified this, Melissa, was saying, how you show up with owning your own business. And I get that, because I own several businesses. We run this podcast, I do coaching too. And it's like, how do you really, it's a choice when you come home and you don't want to crash and burn, or you need to figure out, okay, well, what can I control today and what can I not, so I don't burn out, or I don't have a bad attitude when I come in, or I'm at a low level for my family and I'm not showing up. And it's all of those things. And I'm still learning how I
think we all are,
deal with that and find the balance and not get overly too much in the, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed out and overwhelmed zone. Even today, this morning, with all the things I had to do prior to us filming, I'm going, oh man, I have a saying, I'm going to end up in the grass, which means I'm burnt out and I'm stressed and I'm in the grass right now, and leave me alone, and somebody come and pet me or water me or treat me like a plant. And so I see kind of how calm you are and just at peace you are with everything. And just, it's inspiring to me, and hearing your story and what you've gone through. And I feel very relatable in certain aspects of your life and how you kind of found yourself and your purpose and what I feel like I could talk to you for hours.
Absolutely.
I know.
Some people can.
Some
people can.
We might have to have like a part 2, part 3.
And even if we want to carve out specific domains too,
you might have to be a regular guest.
I'm happy to.
I'd love that.
Happy to.
Yeah.
But tell us about, so you have Tharros Coaching. Literally, if you've stuck with us this long, you got to call him.
Yes.
Because having someone to talk to and someone that has had your experience, like not every experience is the same, but I feel like it's just, you're easy to talk to. You're easy to understand. You also have, I feel like I come to my therapist sometimes and I'm just like word vomit, all of the feelings. And then we're like, back it up. Like, let's, break down one thing at a time. And so with these new dads or old dads or, not a dad, just men in general, you're helping these men find their identity, find how to connect with their family and how to listen to themselves and set goals that you can achieve so you're not in the depths of despair.
Right. Kind of like finding the clarity. I feel like clarity is a great word for you. It's like you just find the clarity.
I get that. I try to. I really try to. And thanks for saying that there's a peace. I've had so many people recently say like, you're very zen, you're very peaceful. I'm like, underneath there's a nice cauldron of boiling up. But I do a lot. So I do like these archetypes of feminine and masculine because they actually exist in everyone, right? And, at times I can be extremely feminine. That's why I love having girls. Like it allows me, I'm surprised my nails aren't painted. That was a great thing to show up in a boardroom and all the people pointing at that and seeing my nails. I'm like, my daughter painted them this morning and told me not to come home without them. Yeah. And y'all are the ones that called the board meeting, right? Like I'm not going to admit. And I started doing videos with them and all that stuff, promoting their product, and people loved it. And, I most interestingly, I had a long stretch of being more attuned to my feminine side, my emotive side, right? And that was beautiful. It was wonderful because I felt comfortable expressing my emotions, right? And I felt like, okay, well, the masculine side, I have that because I do jujitsu or I play guitar or any of those things, but I didn't recognize what the real masculine energy was. The real masculine energy is to be toes forward. To be toes forward meaning like you have to have your shoulders back, your toes forward, and be ready to confront any challenge willingly. And that's not to say that one is better than the other. And only recently have I felt that balance. And I'm surprised I haven't cried on this, but maybe it's I'm leaning forward, but I'm only now like really finding that balance. And again, it is that the act of counterbalancing. And I think men, when it comes to expression, I'll go back to kind of that, what would you call it? Archaeological or paleo man. But it's extended for thousands of years. We went off and died. That was our job. What else did we do? We went off and we sat quietly with other men and waited for the beast or waited for the enemy. So what do we do now? We go off to our fucking offices and sit quietly, right? So we're predisposed. Now, that's not to say that we have to stay within our nature, right? You have to live with it according to your true nature. But the beautiful thing about us, different than nature as we call it, is that we can improve ourselves at any time, right? Like the giraffe can't, shorten its neck to get the better leaves, or it can't build a structure to get higher, right? We sure as shit can. And we're rapidly building more tools though. So we can improve our nature as little humankind, which is fascinating, but we cannot deny that which makes us still an animal. And if you stack our brain is actually just a reptile, a mammal, and then a human, right? And those watching, so here's your reptilian brain right here. This is where all your emotions, everything where you jump to a snake before you even knew it was a snake. Your mammal brain is like, okay, I can do some things. I can integrate my emotion. And then your human brain, the prefrontal cortex, is right there going, hey, I'm the traffic cop. I'm the one that provides metacognition. So I'm the one that lets you think about thinking, and with all those things interplaying, all working together, you can't deny the fact that you freak out when there's a snake before you can do it. Those are there to protect you forever. The mammal brain is there for you to be playful and adventurous and also seeking. And you know, that's where some of our language came from, our ability to see an enemy from far away, or see when mama's angry, or to see someone who's interested in you, or that someone's actually listening to you. That's all from the mammalian.
Yeah.
And then the prefrontal cortex is just that traffic cop, or either the executive assistant, or any of that stuff. And when you start to integrate and understand those things, and this is where Tharros kind of comes in, is that we try to start to gamify getting your values. The way that we work is in 3 parts. We have values. This is identifying those non-negotiables in life. Then there we have virtues, right? Now that you've got your values set, what are the things that you want to show up in the world as? Who are the people that are your role models? What do you want to be known for? Right? And what's your plan to improve yourself towards those? Like me, when I look at virtues, I cheat. I go to the classic Roman and Greek virtues, which are wisdom, courage, temperance, self-moderation, and justice. So being fair, cool. That's a very important part. If you're not fair, you get no reciprocity. You have no friends. You have no wife. You have no life. Awesome. Self-moderation, boy, that's been something I've been challenged with. And my God, things will change if in 40 years on my gravestone, or in 100, or in 3 days, my gravestone is, this man moderated himself. I'm going to be working towards that and continue to work to justice. Justice is back towards that fairness. So I got that. I'm going back to that one. Wisdom. Wisdom is the coolest, one of my favorites, because it's falling in love with what you don't know and not what you do.
Yes.
Right? Being in love with, oh my God, every person has a brick of gold in them, and I am the fucking miner. So even if it's that homeless person who I can't understand, and you can tell they're drug addled and they're not even there, and you know that you give that $1 to them, they'll just take another hit. It's seeing in them, and to use yoga term, it's the namaste. It's seeing them, the light in them that reflects back at you.
Yes.
That is wisdom.
Right.
That is fucking an endless pursuit the rest of your life to try and find the things that you can bring to bring to bear that are gold in your life.
Right.
And most importantly, be ready to share it.
Yeah.
Be ready to bring that out, right? One thing about gold is that back in the day, the only way you could find out if gold was real is you had to chip it off, right? So gold is not necessarily about your inner value, because if you have to show that gold so much, it's gone. You chip away at it. So there has to be a kind of a confidence in there. So we have courage. The last one's the courage, but we have wisdom. We have temperance or self-moderation. We have justice or fairness, and then courage. So being afraid is okay. Everyone's afraid. But courage is understanding that you're afraid and stepping forward.
Yeah,
doing it.
And that's where Tharros comes from, is the Greek word of courage. I hope to invoke within men to accept the adventure of life. Because when you are willing to shoulder that burden of life, and make the choice to smirk, right? This is the story of Sisyphus, that he mocked the gods so much that they damned him to an existence of where he rolled a boulder uphill, and at sundown, it would roll down and mangle him. And he did it every day. And there's this idea that the only way he could have his revenge against the gods was if he smiled while he did it. And they say, yeah, this is my fucking life, but watch this.
Yeah.
Right? And it doesn't come easily, but it can come naturally. And I think that's part of kind of the masculine ethos of like, hey, I might go die today in a war or getting a mammoth, or I might have to come home with no meat and have to eat what my wife lovingly foraged, or eat what the other man brought, knowing that when I bring enough meat, I can't eat it. I have to give it away. And then the reciprocity, community, society, all these things built off of these things, right? So there is virtues, and I want every man to find, there's so many different, I just stuck with those because they were already aligned with me. And then there's the vision. How are you going to make your world better? What is it when your family relationships, your business relationships? What is it that your goal is now that you've found your values, you're working towards virtue, and what is it that you want to build with your life? Because so much, I identify 2 things with like anxiety and depression. Depression depression is no meaning. Anxiety is no plan.
Right.
Without action, anxiety leads to anguish, right? So that's what the most important part, or arguably the most important part, is setting, of course, that vision that you're balancing all of your decisions off of your values. You're working towards a self-actualized, virtuous person that you want to be. And you're getting these dopamine hits, back to the neuropsychology, you're getting these dopamine hits that come not from the attainment of these goals, but from the pursuit of them.
The journey.
Yes. So yes, I hate the fact that the journey's better than the destination. I hate that because it's so overplayed. And then when I learned, I'm like, oh God, our dopaminergic system, it's designed for that. This is literally, it felt so much better to be on the treadmill than to be taking the selfie after, or what. Right. Not that I do that. But it is all that. So that's really the outline of the program. Right now we're doing one-to-one coaching. I'm looking for a few courageous men that will help me beta test the group coaching program, because I think it is wildly important that men have the community to share and the community to support, and to see that men in all shapes and sizes that are professionals that dedicate themselves to being a father, a leader, a lover, and showing up the way that they need to show up and the way they want to show up. They need that community. That's the difference between the one-to-one right now, is that, hey, you come in, it's, it's just you and I want to be able to give that, so that if this can go to scale, and that's,
I've already got a list of men I know, right? Too.
Nice.
I've been building that list.
Sure. I mean, if
this guy needs you, this guy,
and the
community.
I know so many things, and I think I can kind of leave it at this too, as why men need this. I kept talking about, what our roles were. We would go off and die in wars, or we go off and die trying to slay the beast, or we would go off and come back and be the provider. We've had a tremendous transformation from basically since the birth control pill, where we liberated women in a way that we didn't know the impact until really now, where we have feminized society to a great degree and a necessary degree. But in that, it's pathologized into taking the nature of men, of boys, and either subtly saying that's wrong or intentionally saying it's wrong. And I don't necessarily identify that's impact directly in my life. But what happens is, you now have this red pill content. You've got your Andrew Tate and other stuff. Like, Andrew Tate may have a good message for some, or may have a message for men that men can identify with in these times. But there's one thing that he doesn't have, that all great fighters have, and that all great men have, is they have the integration of their feminine and their masculine. They know when to weep. They know when to creep. They know when to sleep. And I don't know any other words that rhyme to make that work. But they know when it's time. And I can leave it with this kind of hook here, is that it's time for men to express instead of repress, right?
Yeah.
It's because it has to come out. And what I was reminded of during you sharing or reflecting back your experience of our Melissa and I's experience was, we would say to people, we feel our feelings in our house. This is important.
Yeah.
You can't forget that. And this is where I'll get emotional.
That's what makes us human.
It absolutely is. And that's the experience.
You're here to experience.
That's it. And that's it. And it's the only thing that is universally accepted as real is pain. Okay. And that's weird.
That's weird.
The only thing that can take your mind away from everything is pain. Right? So there's some power to that. And it needs some balance. It needs some balance. And that comes from back to the choices that you can make, that locus of control. What can I control? What's the choice that I can make? Can I accept these feelings? Can I sit with them? Can I process them? Can I put language to them? And then what can I do about it? What control do I have to change that? Or what control do I have to my reactions to that? Right?
I love
wow. So much.
Yes.
So thank you, Bryant, for being here.
Yes.
Thank you for that vulnerable and deep conversation. we are going to wrap this up in a pretty little bow for you guys to digest and put a way to just break stuff. Put a way to contact Bryant, and
we'll drop a link.
We will probably have him on again. I think we're going to talk about mindset and breath work.
Yeah.
And
we didn't even get to that stuff.
I know. We didn't get to that.
I will say this one thing about breath work. What do heavy metal singers, Buddhist monks, and Navy SEALs have in common? They all can control their breath. And they all understand the power of controlling their breath.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they may have some other stuff in common, but like a screamo singer, who was the Gore fan, or y'all had someone on.
Evan.
Yeah. And like, what I learned when I sang music was that I had to control my breath.
Yeah.
And in order to get my message out. And then what I learned through meditation, kung fu, and other cool stuff like that was I had to control my breath. And then I realized when I was working my own way through deep anxiety, the only way I could feel relief was to control my breath.
Yeah.
And so many people, that's exactly it. Yeah. And that's the beauty of your brain in its control of the part of you that can take over.
Yeah.
And if life is about challenge and experience, and that the only real experience that anyone can have is pain, that's where you have the ability for that deeply human part to say, take a breath, slow it down. You can do this. And your body will respond so quickly because it was attuned to that.
I think you just advertised our next show with you.
Yeah.
Because that's one of my favorite topics.
Awesome.
So we're going to have to dive into
Let's
that.
take a breath to take us out.
I've been slouching.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Inhale. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you.
Y'all take care. Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.